Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
So today we're diving into just one source. And this one's all about discovering Mozambique as, a place to travel.
Right.
Think of it like this source is making the case for Mozambique. Why you might actually want to go visit this, fascinating Southeastern African country.
Yeah.
Our mission really is to unpack what this source is saying. Not just list things, but understand how it's trying to persuade you and pull out the key details and the unique angles it's offering.
Now, you can see its intention pretty clearly right from the start.
Yeah.
It really wants to position Mozambique as this compelling option. Maybe it's especially if you're looking beyond the big famous African destinations.
Okay.
It frames it less as just a place and more like an experience.
Yeah.
It keeps talking about unspoiled nature, cultural richness.
Right. Okay. And it kicks off with the geography, which makes sense. Tells us where it is southeastern coast, borders with Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Eswatini.
The neighbors, yeah.
But the big number it kind of hits you with is that coastline.
Oh, yeah.
Over 2,500 kilometers along the Indian Ocean. That's massive. The source is definitely highlighting that for a reason, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. That huge coastline isn't just presented as a fact in the source.
No.
No, it's like the foundation for a lot of what makes Mozambique appealing, according to this piece. It immediately makes you think, okay, marine activities, beautiful coasts, that's central.
Yeah. Okay. And the source doesn't really waste time, does it? It lays out the main attractions it thinks make Mozambique special.
Straight into it.
It lists pristine beaches, vibrant coral reefs, colonial history, which is interesting and thrilling safaris. So it's suggesting right away there's quite a bit of variety there.
And that blend seems key to the source's whole argument.
How so?
It's trying to show it's not, a one-trick pony. It positions Mozambique as having, I think it uses the phrase, something for every traveler. Whether you want to just chill by the ocean, or you're into diving or history or, classic wildlife stuff.
Okay, so let's dig into how it backs that up. It calls Mozambique one of Africa's lesser-known yet most rewarding spots.
Yeah, that phrasing is telling.
So what's the evidence? What does the source actually point to?
Well, it focuses heavily on those spectacular beaches and tropical islands first.
Okay.
Then it doubles down on marine life, world-class diving and snorkeling.
World-class, okay.
Mentions the wildlife safaris again.
Yeah.
Brings in the Portuguese-influenced colonial architecture.
Ah, the history element.
Right. And then delicious seafood. The warmth of the locals, that's a nice touch. And importantly, the promise of affordable and authentic travel experiences.
That word authentic keeps popping up.
It does. And that list, you see, combines the natural beauty with culture and practical stuff too. Using terms like world-class and authentic, that's clearly meant to elevate it. And that emphasis on authentic, it feels like it's trying to contrast Mozambique with maybe places that are seen as more, touristy or commercialized.
Yeah, building that hidden gem idea.
Exactly. It's all part of that lesser-known gem image it's crafting.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, I thought. The source basically takes us on a little virtual tour.
Yeah, highlighting specific places.
It starts with the Bazaruto Archipelago, labels it the Pearl of the Indian Ocean.
Gotcha.
Describes turquoise waters, white sand, really pushes the world-class diving again. And it lists activities. Diving, snorkeling, watching whales or dolphins, sailing, kayaking. Oh, and mentions luxury resorts, too.
Okay, so Bazaruto is the poster child for the classic tropical island dream in this source.
Seems like it.
Leaning hard on the visuals, the amazing sea life, but also nodding to the high-end options. It's the lead example for that coastal beauty and underwater stuff.
Then the source completely shifts gears, takes us to Maputo, the capital.
Right, the city element.
Paints it as vibrant, full of culture, history, nightlife. Points out the colonial Portuguese architecture. Again, that's clearly a key visual for the source. Plus lively markets, seafront promenades. It even mentions specific spots. The fortress, the Central Market, National Art Museum, botanical gardens, and loops back to seafood, mentioning local restaurants.
Yeah, bringing Maputo into it is, I think, crucial for the source's argument. It stops you thinking Mozambique is only about beaches.
Right, adds another dimension.
Exactly. Yeah. It adds that layer of urban exploration, history, culture. It helps the source build a more rounded picture.
Okay, then it's back to the coast. Tofo Beach. Describes it as more laid back, a big spot for divers, but specifically known for the big stuff.
Yeah, the megafauna.
Whale sharks, manta rays, humpback whales during the season.
See, that really reinforces the world-class diving claim, doesn't it?
Yeah.
By getting super specific about what you might encounter.
Yeah, good point.
Those are iconic species. It gives a really compelling reason for marine enthusiasts to go there, and positions Tofo as maybe more relaxed than the luxury islands like Bazaruto.
And the source lists diving, snorkeling, surfing, paddleboarding, and exploring nearby Inhambane for culture.
So, still plenty to do.
Definitely. Then the source heads north to another island group, the Bazaruto Archipelago.
Right, another set of islands.
This one is framed as more remote, for people looking for an off-the-beaten-path luxury escape.
Okay, so differentiating it from Bazaruto.
Yeah, seems like it. Highlights here, according to the source: private island resorts, sea kayaking, diving, and cultural immersion again. It specifically mentions Ebo Island and its historic ruins.
Interesting. So Carimbas gets the remote luxury tag, but also weaves in history with Ebo Island.
Yeah.
So the source is catering to maybe a slightly different traveler here. Someone wanting exclusivity, but also that mix of nature and history.
Yeah.
Still fitting into that diverse offerings idea.
But it's not all coast and islands, which is important. For the wildlife fans, the source points inland to Gorongosa National Park.
Ah, yes, Gorongosa.
It frames Gorongosa as this conservation success story, recovering after the civil conflict.
Yeah, that's a powerful narrative.
And now home to elephants, lions, antelopes, lots of birds. The source lists the classic safari stuff.
Yeah.
Game drives, bird watching, guided walks.
Including Gorongosa lets the source, tick that essential African safari box.
Absolutely.
And by mentioning the recovery, the conservation angle, it adds this sort of positive layer, suggesting maybe that visiting helps support those efforts.
Yeah, feels good. And finally, the source takes us way down south, near the border with South Africa, to Ponta do Oro.
Ponta, right?
Describes this as popular for weekend trips, lots of water sports. It's apparently famous for dolphin encounters and diving.
Dolphin encounters are always a good hook.
Definitely. Other things the source lists: quad biking, surfing, whale watching in season, and vibrant nightlife.
So Ponta sounds like maybe the most accessible, highest energy coastal spot it mentions.
Could be.
Catering maybe to a younger crowd or people doing shorter trips, given it's near South Africa. The dolphin thing is a nice specific detail the source pulls out.
So that covers the main places it highlights, but then the source also adds the practical stuff you need.
Yeah, the logistics. Crucial.
Suggest the best time to visit. Dry season, May to November. Good for beaches, safaris, diving, pretty much everything it talked about.
Makes sense.
Mentions the currency Mozambican medical, official language, Portuguese plus local languages. Talks about visas, sometimes on arrival, sometimes online, need to check.
Standard travel advice, yeah.
Touches on transport domestic flights, needing a 4x4 sometimes. And a little note on safety, just recommending standard caution.
And including those practical details is really important in a piece like this.
How so?
Well, it moves the source from just inspiration to actual possibility. It gives you the context you'd need to start thinking, okay, could I actually do this trip? The source is anticipating your next questions.
Right, making it actionable.
Exactly.
And then putting it all together, the source actually points you towards resources to, make it happen. It specifically mentions FlightNHotels.com.
Ah, the booking tool.
Yeah, presents it as a tool to compare and book flights, hotels, cars, calls it a convenient way to get good prices, basically guiding you on how to act on the inspiration it just gave you.
Yeah, it links the where to go and why directly with the here's how you can book it.
Connects the dots.
It completes that potential journey for the reader, from just being curious to actually planning using the tool it recommends. It integrates the destination's appeal with a suggested way to organize it all.
So if we look back at how this source built its case for Mozambique, it really leans on that blend, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The amazing marine life, the islands, but also the history, the culture in the cities and archipelagos, and the classic safari experience inland.
Yeah, it hits all those notes.
And it keeps pitching it as this authentic alternative.
Yeah.
Maybe compared to places that are more, saturated with tourists.
Exactly. The source paints this picture of Mozambique as a place with incredible natural beauty, deep cultural layers, lots of different things to do,
right,
all tied together by this feeling of being a bit off the usual tourist trail, offering experiences that feel, genuine, less commercialized.
That's the core of its argument for why it's a lesser-known gem.
And it wraps it all up neatly by framing it through practical travel planning, suggesting how you could actually book a trip like this.
Connects the dream with the reality, the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about how this source presents Mozambique, highlighting this mix of nature, culture, adventure, calling it a lesser-known gem, an authentic alternative, it definitely makes a strong case for exploring places like it.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought, maybe something for you listening to consider based on the source's perspective.
Given this whole framing of authenticity and being lesser known, what is it that truly makes a travel experience rewarding for you personally? And how might seeking out destinations presented in this way, like Mozambique, in this source, actually shape your understanding of the world?